Right, we will start today's session. Thank you everyone, and welcome in our first college prep session. This is just an effort for those who are ready to uh, go into college, or they want to they are probably rising juniors or rising seniors in high schools. And this is just a small effort from me and Rutuja. So let's welcome Rutuja, who is a rising sophomore at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and she's doing her bachelor's in aerospace engineering. That is what her major. Now, before we start today's session, just wanted to give a short disclaimer that this video is, or this session is purely for informational purposes, and any thoughts or any information shared here should not be construed as a professional advice. So this is just like sharing some information from a college going student and just talking about her journey from high school to the college. So thank you, Rutuja. Thank you for ready to be part of today's session. So let's begin. My first question to you is, you picked to do your bachelor's in aerospace engineering, and I guess this is pretty male dominated field. So I just wanted to know, why did you pick on this particular field to do your bachelor's? Why?
Yeah, so ever since I was younger, I've really been interested in, outer space and rockets. And that's always been my aspiration, is to be an astronaut. So I've always, tried exploring space related things as well. However, in school, middle school, I took tech ed as a class, and that really made me interested in the engineering aspect. And I followed through with that in high school when I took robotics and was on the robotics team. That also furthered my interest in engineering. So I really felt like aerospace engineering was the perfect blend of my two interests, where, it's a mix of space as well as engineering.
Okay, so it seems that you were predetermined about your major, right? But can you give us some tips? Because many times what I have noticed, that kids are so confused when they are in their junior year or senior, and they just don't know which major they should go for. So can you share a few tips how one can determine which major should I go for, and how he should prepare while he was already in high school?
Yeah, so I personally think that when choosing what major you want to do, you should start by choosing what you don't want to do. Because I feel like there's so many different fields that anyone can go into, and it's, really difficult to decide what you want to do 100% if you don't really know. So I feel like a good starting place would be deciding what majors or what fields you don't like. So in my personal experience, I know that I'm not gonna do anything in medicine because I don't see myself working as a doctor ever. So I already knew that, okay, that's not something that I would want to study. So I feel like a good way of kind of going in the right direction of choosing your major is starting with which streams you don't like, and then working on the ones that you do find interesting. Another thing I feel like you could do is, throughout high school, you could try different clubs or different electives from different streams that could, help give you some clarity on which major you want to decide. Like, I know there's lots of clubs you could choose from. There's probably some business related clubs, some med related clubs, some engineering related clubs. There's definitely art clubs. So you could try exploring by joining different clubs, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like, and based on that, deciding on a stream. And maybe once you decide that, okay, I want to try maybe majoring in business, or I want to try majoring in medicine, maybe try furthering your classes or your electives or your clubs more catered towards that, so you can kind of specifically decide what in that major stream specifically you want to study.
Thank you. I think that's a great tip. That first you have to decide what you don't want to do, so that you can eliminate on so many things, and then you can focus on what exactly you want to do, and then you can based on your interest, you can pick and choose which major you actually want to focus on while going through the college. That's a great tip. Thanks for sharing. Now the next question I'm going to ask gives more stress to the parents, I think, rather than the kids, and that is what is all about the ACT and the AP scores. So do you think that the having good score for SAT and APT, does it really matter in college admissions? What is your thought on it?
So, in regards to SAT scores, that's kind of a gray area because it depends college to college, as some colleges do require you to submit an SAT score while others say it's optional. So, it really depends on which college and how much weightage they're giving to your SAT score. However, it obviously doesn't hurt to have a good SAT score, regardless of whether, the college accepts it or not. It obviously will just boost your chances instead of hurting you. And in regards to AP courses, I personally feel like AP courses do help you in college in the sense that they're kind of giving you a baseline of like an intro to how college courses will be. And as well as doing well on the AP exams does give you credits for college, which you could use on some of your early classes. Like it could really help in your freshman year in, going past the first level classes where getting this credit from AP scores, you could really start on the second course, like starting on calculus 2 instead of 1 or chemistry 2 instead of 1, by earning this credit from AP courses.
So according to you, getting or having good SAT scores and AP scores do really will help kids in getting good colleges. So I remember you took bunch of AP courses when you were in high school. So how those AP courses helped you in probably skipping some of the courses in college, or how useful those courses for you?
Yeah, so some courses, AP classes which I took were more catered towards my major. So I took AP Calculus, AP Physics 1, AP Physics C, Environmental Science, and all of those were helpful in the sense that it gave me like a base understanding as well for entering into college. So it really made learning newer information easier because I had learned it previously. Or when we had to like go over, certain topics in class, it even though it might be a newer concept, you had some sort of basis when you did it back in AP. So it really made it easier. But I would suggest not only taking AP courses that like resonate with your major, but actually taking generic AP courses or some that don't match closely with your major. Like in my case, I took AP Lit, Lang, World History, US History, and all of these actually helped me more, I would say, because the credit I got from those AP scores, it helped get rid of my lower social sciences and upper social science, like elective courses that I have to take per semester. And it actually decreased the amount of classes that I have to take per semester by one class. I personally think that taking not only courses that align with your major is helpful, but even those that are just, like social science or like generic English courses or history courses that really can be applied to any major, no matter what you decide. A lot of colleges do accept that credit and will, give you some sort of benefit from it because certain colleges, even if you do take an AP that is, in regards to your major, colleges might not accept that credit because it is a part of your degree. Like in my case, they didn't accept my Physics 1 or Physics C credit because I have to take physics in my courses regardless. So it helped in the sense that I had a basic understanding and I was able to do better in the class because I had prior knowledge, but they didn't give me the credit for it. Whereas for the like English and history courses, I got credit for lower level and upper level social sciences, and it really helped me decrease my course load per semester.
Another great tip from you. Thank you so much for sharing that it's not necessary that you should only focus on the AP courses which are aligned to the major which you are going to take up in the college, but it's better to do some AP courses from some general generalized subjects which can also helpful in probably maybe skipping few of the preliminary courses in your college. Great tip, and thanks for sharing that. Now, as I know that you're based out of New Jersey, right? And you decided to go out or move out of the state, and now you are studying in Florida. So, was this transition like staying away from the home and the family? Uh, can you talk about this transition, how difficult it was or how easy it was for you? And I just want you to share your experience being in dorm, doing all your chores on your own, taking decisions on your own. How was the whole experience?
So it was definitely not the easiest of experiences. Obviously, at the beginning, being so far away from home is a little like lonely. You don't really know anyone on campus. You're still, trying to figure out how to do everything on your own. So it's a little like lonely at first, but it really gets much better and it gets better really quickly once you start making friends on campus. And orientation week is honestly the best time to make friends because everyone's a little scared and everyone's a little lost and everyone really just wants to, find someone to hang out with. So everyone's really open to making friends. You'll meet so many people during orientation week and, just hanging out with them will make the like loneliness a little less. As well, I would say that you get so many more responsibilities by living in a dorm because now you have to, wash your own dishes, you have to do your own laundry, you have to make sure to remember to take your trash out, you have to keep your room clean in case they do dorm checks. You can't like, misplace your things. So you get a lot more responsibility in that sense. You have to eat at a proper time, you have to manage your own eating, you have to manage your own schoolwork. You're not going to have your parents to come remind you that, oh, you have a meeting at this time or oh, you have a class at this time. You really have to remember everything on your own. So it helps you with your time management as well. And another like just plus tip I would say is you would join a lot of clubs in your freshman year because I really feel like clubs are the best way to, meet new community and meet new people as there's so many varieties of clubs, you can really find one that resonates with your interests and you'll meet so many people that have similar views or similar interests and you'll really make some nice friendships. And once you get those friendships, life away from your family gets a little easier.
Great, great trip. And you just mentioned about joining clubs, right? Just to start with. So far what I have known is like the schedule, the college schedule for a particular student is always pretty hectic. You guys are pretty busy with your work, and additionally, like as you said, that it's better to join clubs. So I just wanted to understand, like, how one can keep the balance between, like, the studying hours, doing all these, like, extracurricular activities or these clubs, and at the same time wanted to have fun and do not want to get exasperated because of the whole hectic schedule. So how can one keep a good balance and enjoy the college life rather than getting like, exasperated with all these difficult, like, tasks?
Yeah, so that is really, there's no formula for how to manage your time. You just have to understand and go with the flow, and you really have to understand your own priorities on, what you are prioritizing, as well as trying to create some sort of schedule really helps. And personally, I feel like the best way to manage your time is, learning how to say no and learning when to say no, in the sense that you need to know when you say no to your friends because you have to prioritize your assignments and when to say stop to your assignments so you can, relax and cool off and have some fun as well. So really just being able to balance that will help you, pass through this, hectic schedule. And I really feel like you need to like like, create a schedule with times because if you're a part of lots of clubs, there will be meetings, there will be, places you have to be at certain times. And you can't be doing schoolwork or you can't be hanging out with your friends at those times as well. So you really need to create a schedule or create like a plan in your mind that okay, these are the three, say, homework assignments I have to get done by tonight. And these are the three meetings that I have to go to for these clubs. And then in between, clubs and your schoolwork, you need to have, find time to hang out with your friends or talk to your parents. And it's a lot of like juggling all the tasks you have. But I personally feel like when you join clubs as well, you should really join like two distinct types of clubs. There will be professional clubs, which, will help with professional development or like are related to your major, but also join clubs that are like just social clubs or just fun clubs. Like maybe there's like an Indian Students Association club, or maybe you want to be part of the band, or maybe you want to be part of the dance team, something like that. That is, it's a club that, yeah, you have to go to, but it's also giving you fun and enjoyment out of it. So it really doesn't feel like, oh my God, I have to go here. I have like, a task to do. It's more of like a fun thing, oh, I have this social event that I have to go to, and it's really fun. So having some of these fun clubs really like breaks the super hectic workload that you have by, just having random social events here and there as well.
Thanks for sharing, your experience and how you try to, keep the balance between all these different things you are doing at college. Now, before we, come to the last question, I'm just letting all our listeners know that if you have any questions, feel free to post your questions in chat box. We will end this session around 4:35 p.m. So if you have any questions, feel free to post it in chats and we will try to answer as many questions as we can within the given time frame. So my last question to you, Rutuja, is can you just tell us a little bit more about your college? The good part of your college, or maybe the bad part of your college, or why you like this college, and how do you decided to pick on this college? Because I remember we visited so many different colleges, and finally you said that no, I want to go to this college. So what are those factors you looked into while making this decision?
Yeah, so I personally love going to Embry-Riddle. I think it's a very, lively place. And it also has a lot of good opportunities specifically for aerospace engineering. So when we toured the campus, I fell in love with the campus. I thought it was so beautiful, and I thought that the size was small enough where I don't have to, you know, it was like a perfect medium size where it's not too big, where, you have to run from one end to the other end and it takes you like an hour to get there, but not so small that it's only centered around like one certain, like, subject. It's a moderate size in the sense that the teacher to student ratio is not that much. So you can really, talk with your professors and, really get to know them. And that like professor student bond is pretty well. And I see that in my college as well. There's a lot of research opportunities that are present, and it's very easy to get research due to this like smaller ratio of students to professors, as you can really, see what research projects interest you, and you can reach out to the professors, and they're more than happy to, onboard anybody into their research. Like you don't have to be a junior or a senior. Even freshmen and sophomores can get research opportunities as well. I also think the clubs are so diverse. There's literally clubs for every interest you could think of. There's an anime club, there's a boating club, there's crocheting clubs. So there's clubs for literally everybody. And I think all the clubs have so many events, and they really hone in on the fact that they want to have like community. And I think that was really helpful, that no matter who you talk to, whether they were the same major as you or different majors than you, everyone was so welcoming and so ready to help, on campus, that it's a really nice community and a really nice vibe as well. Also, the dorms are relatively nice. It is kind of rebuilt in more recent years, so there's not that many like dorm issues that you hear from other colleges, as well as the food is okay, not the best, but I mean, no college food is gonna be as good as your mom's cooking, but it's not the best, but not so bad. We have good options. We have a dining hall, as well as like Chick-fil-A, Qdoba, Starbucks, and food trucks on campus as well. I also think that the resources are really good, as the labs are really nice. And really, it's much easier to get into these labs. And, by joining clubs, you can really, really get integrated into certain labs. Like I know there's rocketry labs, there's physics labs, there's chemistry labs, there's like solid rockets, liquid rocket labs, there's flight schools. So yeah, there's a lot of resources for everybody. Also, the career fairs are, really big where for the population size of our college, there's a whole lot more companies that come visit. So a lot of people do get opportunities through the career fairs. They also, give you shadow opportunities throughout the year where you can, shadow an engineer or shadow a pilot or shadow someone in cybersecurity at their workplace where you have to, sign up and you get the opportunity to go visit different companies and, see their headquarters or see their manufacturing labs or see their workplaces. So you really get like an insight into industry as well. The only downside I would say is that the fee is a little high, but they do give a lot of scholarships and a lot of scholarship opportunities do come from the university. So it really like helps manage the high fee. It really like lessens it. But yeah, overall, it's a really wonderful place to be. All the people are always so nice. All the professors are really nice. And it's a really good place for aerospace engineering, as well as there's a good pilot program. Same thing with cybersecurity, computer science, aviation business. All these majors are all present. Yeah.
Thank you. That was really helpful. If someone is really looking for this particular college, I think you gave a good insight about your own college. I just wanted you to share maybe one experience where you have, like, kept the balance between your studying hours, your fun time, your clubs. Will you be able to share one experience which you had in your freshman year?
Yeah, so there's always, times where you have so many clubs and so many places to be. So I remember, one of the like more hectic times was around finals season. It was like a Monday. We had like club elections as well. So, and I had lab that day, so my day itself ended a little later. I ended around 3 p.m. after my courses, plus finals are the next week. So you really have to start studying. So after finishing my courses for the day, I started, I went to one of our study spaces with two of my friends and we, sat there and we studied for, quite some time. But we had to run for a club at 5 because there were club elections for positions. So we had to stop studying, go to the club, give our speeches for elections. And that was actually running a little late, but I remember I was stressing out a little bit because at 7 p.m. I teach dance online and I had to get back to my room, change, teach class till 9 p.m. But luckily the elections ended around 6:55 and I remember just running from across campus straight back to my dorm in order to like, take my class. Then I remember teaching from 7 to 9 and after teaching I still had assignments due at 11:59, so I had to run back to the library, sit there, work on finishing my assignments. And, once I was finally done, it was like, breath of relief. But honestly, it's really hectic in the sense that you might be running around campus, trying to make it to all your club meetings, trying to get all your work done, and it's really hectic. But, you might not have time for fun, like, not like a specific time, like this time I'm gonna watch a show or this time I'm gonna go play pool. But honestly, I personally think that, no matter how hectic your day is, it's never like so sad or so hard on you because you have all these people, all your friends around with you. And it's these like small random moments throughout the day that you're just, joking around with your friends or doing something silly that really just, lightens all the load off. Like, contrary to most people's opinion, I feel that finals week is the most fun time of the entire semester. As normally you would say that finals is probably like you're stressed out and everything, but honestly, when you're studying with the same people for like, 4 days, you haven't slept, you're on like coffee and like a weird food schedule, weird sleep schedule, you've been staring at the same like coursework, you're trying to, learn everything before your finals. all the like random little moments, when you're joking around with your friends, talking about how stressed you are, or like, taking a mid break between your studies to go get fries at 12 a.m., or getting kicked out of the library when you're studying for too long and now you have to find a new place to study. All these like random moments with your friends are honestly the highlights of the entire year. And it really like, lightens the workload. Like no matter how hectic or how crazy of a day you have, even just like small moments with your friends or just something silly or something fun that happens, it like obviously makes your day so much better. So I would say, find your community, find your people on campus, and they really make the whole college experience the college experience. Like you don't need, to go out every weekend to have fun. You could just meet up at someone's dorm and watch a movie. And yeah, it's simple, but it's really fun as well.
Thank you so much, Rutuja. Thank you for sharing your experience and your journey from high school to college. I haven't seen any questions so far, so I guess okay. Someone is asking how did you prepare for the SAT and what is common mistake people do?
So for SAT, I took SAT classes at C2 Education. I thought they were pretty good. They were able to, help with the like either math or English, whichever side you were lacking. I know there's other places you could go. There's, I think, Y2, there's Rising Future, there's probably other places as well, that, give SAT coaching. But personally, I feel like you need to first figure out if you're better at English or better at math. And, if you're better at math and your, English score is not the best, then you want to put in more effort on your English score in order to, make that better. And common mistakes people do, I think it's not managing your time when you're taking the SAT. I know now the SAT format is different, so I'm not 100% sure how the timer goes. But I know for us, like when we had the paper version, you really had to time how long it takes you to read the passage and answer the questions in the English section or in the grammar section, because if you spend too long on one passage trying to answer questions, then you might end up skipping a whole set of 7 questions related to a passage because you just didn't, spend your time properly. So I think a good, thing you should do is manage your time. And if you don't know the answer to a question, skip it and go forward. It's better to complete more questions correctly than, spend like 40 minutes trying to just figure out this one question.
Thank you, Rutuja. So I haven't seen any more questions in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. And thank you so much, Rutuja, for sharing your insights. If anybody still has any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can, pass it on your questions to Rutuja. Okay, we will just take one last question. What are some things that you recommend people do in high school to get into good university?
Okay, so I personally think that what colleges look for is that you're a well-rounded person and that you can really manage your time. So there's not really like one specific thing that you can do. Like you need a perfect 4.0. That's not the case. I think that colleges really want to see you as a person. So, joining a lot of clubs is really helpful. And joining like diverse clubs or clubs that, take a lot of time or teamwork. Like, especially if it's like a team that you join, I personally think that is the best thing, along with obviously keeping your grades up. Like, you don't want a really bad GPA. Of course, they look at your GPA, but along with maintaining good grades, also being able to manage like a high commitment club, like whether you take up theater or you take up the robotics team or you take up band or you take up orchestra or, DECA, Model UN, something like that. Some club where, it really helps you develop skills such as, collaboration, teamwork, trying to manage your time and everything. I feel like joining clubs like that really helps, as well as having like an extracurricular or something that you've been doing for a long time or that's a part of your passion also really helps. Like in my case, I've been doing Kathak since I was in second grade. So, and I still continue. So, showing that once you start something, you will follow through with it. So that continuity is really helpful. I also think that, you should try and do some volunteer work or, something like that, where you're also showing that you're a part of the community, not just, focusing on yourself. You're also focusing on giving back to other people and giving back to the community. So being able to, volunteer as well. So really just, kind of branching out in all aspects, volunteering, extracurriculars, and maintaining like, good grades, getting good test scores kind of shows that you're a well-rounded person, as well as someone who can, collaborate, can manage their time well, is a good student, has people skills, has, just skills in general that would make it easy for you to get into any university.
Thank you. Thank you, Rutuja. So I don't think we have more time to take up any more questions. So I'm thanking all of you again who were able to join. We'll definitely post the recording of this session for those who were not able to join today. Okay. Thank you, Rutuja. And we'll be having one more session from Mrunmai Joshi. She is doing medicine. So next Saturday, she will be the speaker in this series for the college prep. Thank you, everyone. Again, have a nice weekend and bye-bye for now. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.